Hello and welcome back to another episode of Paper Straw Podcast. I'm Ian Rignon, an independent alternative media practitioner, among other things, and with me are my co-hosts Christian Tejares and Chris Short. How's it going, guys?
So,
Good. Fairly decent.
Yeah, yeah, that's good to hear. And if you may notice, this is the first time that I'm hosting this. Uh, I mean, I'm the main host for this for this podcast, and it's really an honor, to be honest. Even though this is the 13th overall, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the 13th overall.
oh, lucky number 13.
Yeah, 13, and it's already our anniversary. People would think that we're actually
You
posting just
you
one every
hosted the
month.
you hosted the one about movies.
Well,
Oh, spoilers.
oh, yeah,
Yeah, for something for people to actually look forward to.
yeah, I guess they would have to listen to us for that. Anyway, uh, you know, um, yeah, it's a good thing, and we have three topics today, and I hope that you're gonna be I hope we can have a great discussion about this. It's basically the things that I've just seen on the internet within this week, which is beyond all of the serious stuff, and that includes my own news article regarding that church concert thing. Let's
Hmm.
just link it in the description below.
Yeah.
The one that I just that I just written to by the time that we have this episode. That's serious. We're here for some fun. So first off, uh or maybe not too serious, but you know, it's lighter. It's lighter than the things that I normally do um for paper straw. And first off, right off the bat, there's this Philippine Star News just in where double Olympic gold medalist Carlos Yulo is uh uh has announced plans that he's marrying his girlfriend Chloe San Jose. Uh I'm not sure if you you
Also tough.
Yeah.
yeah, because um there's this Phil Star Life article to quote him uh
Yeah.
yeah, to quote him, I'm just checking the the news article right off the on the fly. But yeah,
His girlfriend is who is she? By the way,
Chloe
she's
San Jose,
Australian, right?
an Australian of Filipino descent, if I am not mistaken.
I see.
Yeah, so that's that. Uh oh, okay. So there is this interview from uh let me go ahead and share this to you so you can read it for yourself on the fly. But for our audience, um, it has been, let's just say, a few months worth of fiascos regarding the Yulo family, and um, since ever since Carlos Yulo won his two gold medals at the Paris Olympics, it's been a shitstorm. And yeah, I just find it partly funny, but also partly weird that dirty laundry has been
Yeah.
aired
That thing was so overblown. Like
so much.
it took away the attention of his achievements. Like I don't even know if they were actually smart to actually do that thing in public and make statements like that.
Mhm.
One, it didn't make their family look any good.
Hmm.
Second, it took away from his spotlight. regarding his wins. Like I don't even think about his gold medals when I actually hear his name. I only think about everything that was said regarding his personals.
Yeah.
That's not a good way to go about it.
Yeah. I mean, how about you, Chris? I mean, I know you're American and you may not be aware of this, but
I don't
uh,
think that's obvious now.
but these type of things where sports personalities are, sports personalities have some kind of personal issues or family issues.
Hmm.
What do you think about it? Since I understand it's too, it's too personal or it's too celebrity-ish or too Hollywood-ish
Hmm.
for people like you.
Well, I mean, the name in a headline makes money, right? It does. And as we all know, feel good stories are great, but they don't spread like, you know, gossip or drama, right? Right. So it's understandable that everybody covers any little hiccup in a newly famous person's life, right? And if you've been famous since childhood, then you kind of have this, or you have, let's say you have famous parents, and you kind of have this cocoon of safety around you where like your parents know, or maybe, there's people around you, but he's brand new, right? So, and I wouldn't imagine that he really ever anticipated on winning gold. Of course he wanted to, and that was the goal, but since, it was never like part of the family life, like we have to behave because one day I'll be a gold medalist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
So great for him that he's a gold medalist. Unfortunately, there's problems that come with fame. Like that's just how it is.
yeah,
Um,
and
Yeah.
yeah,
but I,
given
Just
that, yeah,
yeah, for the
but
sake
yeah,
of
go ahead.
I think he'll be
for
all
our
right as long as he has a strong hit. This girlfriend that he's going to marry could be the difference in you know how these things affect him. You know what I mean? But there's one thing. I opened the article and I just want to call out something really quick. Uh,
Yeah,
he said, I guess this is about somebody said something about his height because he's a
he's four
little
nine. He's a short king, literally.
yeah. He said, I never stopped training, Carlos, who's 24 years old, says. That explains why my height is stunted. No.
Nah,
genetic.
Genetics is why your height is
genetics,
yeah.
genetics.
And then he said the well, I don't know. Butoko? What is that in English?
My
Bu-
bones.
My bones.
Butoko. Yeah, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. His bones in his knees did not stretch because he never stopped training. Bro, that's not how the
Should
body works.
shouldn't that
Well,
have
Your
been
bones don't
reversed?
stretch. Your
Yeah,
bones do not.
if that was true, we'd all be short because of gravity.
yeah,
Now, I find it to be it's a hell of an excuse. Um, but I
Didn't
find
he
it,
just mention it jokingly? I kind of figured that would be it.
I mean, it doesn't say this article doesn't say anything about a grin or jokingly. It just says that's what he said. Um, the only thing that I like, of course, it's funny, right? Like, okay, whatever, dude. That's a crazy
yeah,
ass excuse, but it's a little sad that he feels the need to make an excuse for his height. Bro, you're a gold medalist. I don't care if you're Thumbelina. Like
yeah.
you're great. It doesn't matter if you're
I
four
don't think
nine
he
or.
actually noticed that before too much until
Mm.
he's been put on the spotlight, and a lot of people have been pointing it out to him.
Well, it's because his girlfriend looks like an Amazon next to him, and I'm sure she ain't but like 5'3".
Yeah,
Like I
I
think I
mean,
never saw any pictures with him that the girl is actually standing, only sitting.
mm,
This one,
There might be some.
they have a sweet one here, but she's bending over to like kiss, and he's like fucking straight up and down, and just they're face to face.
mm.
But good for him, good for them.
Mhm.
Um, everybody has family issues. It just sucks that his are on the front page.
And
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think this would have been overblown as much. If you consider, you have to take into consideration the nationality that it has happened to,
Mm,
the culture of the Philippines in terms of uh how parents are actually seen and how kids are actually gonna be responsible is also another factor. Like if this thing happened to anyone in the US or any country that's a complete 180 of our culture, it
yeah.
wouldn't be, it's a non-starter for a discussion.
Um, well, some notable similarities would be maybe the Lohan parents. Um,
Lindsay
they were
Lohan's parents.
yeah, they were toxic as fuck. Like her mom, I should not know her mom's name, and I'm pretty sure her mom's name is like Dina Lohan. She's insane.
Yeah,
They got all that money and then they went fucking berserk, her and her husband, and they divorced and Lindsay got on drugs. Like this does happen.
Mhm.
yeah,
But
like
good for Lindsay.
the
Yeah, but
Filipino
good for
culture is actually gonna be, and I know I'm gonna receive a lot of hate for this.
well,
Like,
both of us, Christian.
Yeah, me too,
Both of
actually.
us.
As a foreigner, I can agree. As a foreigner that's semi well versed, but on the outside looking in, obviously I don't have Filipino parents. I co-parent with a Filipino, so I kind of get it.
yeah, in terms of responsibility regarding your parents, is if you're a son or a daughter, you've gone through with life, been through the ups and downs, and suddenly a
Mm,
responsibility of taking care of your parents is hoisted on you. I don't see that as a responsibility. I see that more as of a privilege that you are able to do that.
yeah,
With that being said, pressuring someone to actually do something is much more, to me, offensive for both parties.
right.
It feels like you've only taken care of this kid just to make him your golden goose.
Oh, oh yeah. That's
It's
speaking of
not
Golden
because
Goose. There's
it's not
uh
because of unconditional love, because immediately after you've given birth, you've already placed a condition on him, considering
Mm,
that you already wanted him to be a gold medalist to excel. And if you want him to excel, it's still him that's doing all
yeah,
the hard stuff.
yeah.
yeah,
If we don't factor the cost, this is all Carlos.
Hmm.
No one should be sharing the pot with him but him and whoever actually funded him.
yeah,
And and in his case, the woman that he loves, right? So
But
yeah.
But
from
I
what I
do still,
understand, it was almost immediate. Like he won the gold, and then
yeah.
his mom was like, "What?" And like it was. I feel like it was instantaneous.
It was a morning. Like I was sitting on in a taxi. Then the news actually broke regarding his win. Then just a couple of minutes, news regarding his mom actually popped up.
Yeah, it
Like
was.
how
Yeah, it was
quick was
almost instant.
these tabloid journalists to actually pick up the scoop?
Almost
Yeah,
instant.
I mean, um, I understand that Christian, you and your wife are very much into the media industry for a longer time than both Chris and I.
Yeah,
And yeah, I can attest to how fast these
It's like
guys
they it's like they have
are scooping.
statements prepared.
yeah,
Yeah. Or maybe they are preparing or they are researching about it beforehand.
Yeah, but a gold medal in the Olympics, you're trying to predict whether your son would win, and you actually have a
But
document prepared. Like
not
that's
not
messed
really,
up.
but yeah, but Yulo is has been making the rounds before he won the Olympic gold or two Olympic golds for that
mm,
matter, because he has been winning the world championships for gymnastics
right.
prior to the Olympics. So that's basically that's how it all started. Now, I just have to say that I mean, the discussion about this is just too dumb. And in speaking of dumb, uh, have you ever heard of the game or the song Dumb Ways to Die"?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
because that we're gonna segue into that because uh
just
Yeah,
before we start this, just before
yeah,
we
before we
start
actually
this,
switch, before we actually switch topic, we would like to congratulate Carlos on his pension.
Absolutely.
yeah,
Like,
of
congratulations on
course,
the win,
Perfect.
everything, and congratulations on your future marriage. Like,
Perfect
yeah,
performance.
you might have found the perfect girl for you, and yeah,
mhm,
Yeah.
all
yeah.
the
I
best.
mean, all the best, and we just hope that the next news about this guy, about Yulo, would be
It's
his wedding to Chloe San Jose.
yeah, it's a confirmation of a wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and engagement, I guess. Let's start with the engagement, and then let's get with the wedding. I hope that happens. So
Yeah.
now, dumb ways to die. It's really a
This is
funny
a
title
throwback.
for,
Yeah. I
yeah,
like this.
yeah. Actually, there's a video that was recently released about a collaboration with another legendary not for kids cartoon called Happy Tree Friends.
I remember this.
Yeah, the very
Yeah.
definition of dumb ways to die.
So that's basically their collaboration. They're gonna have an epic crossover. I'm not sure of the timeline, but this was just a few hours ago. Uh, Quite literally, hours, just a few hours before we started this podcast.
Yeah,
So yeah, and a lot of Happy Tree Friends fans are just so excited for for a collaboration with our collab with Dumb Ways to Die or
yeah. Happy
the
Tree
developers
Friends
of
is
Dumb.
yeah, Happy Tree Friends is for just those people who watch South Park for Kenny. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
basically the target audience of this. Like Dumb Ways to
Mhm.
Die has been how long has it been since
I
this
think
was
more than
actually
10 years. More than 10
I
years.
think even more because I actually played it on an iPhone, what, the iPhone 4?
Yeah, but I started knowing about Dumb Ways to Die. The my touch point or this my starting point for the Dumb Ways to Die franchise is not really the game itself, but the song Dumb Ways to Die.
Yeah.
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 And I could just
So
say like Happy Tree Friends is the best way I can describe it is the cutest show that you'll ever regret watching.
Yeah.
especially when you're a kid back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what? Your parents looking, it's like, oh, okay, you're watching it, and it's like, wait, what is this?
Yeah, this was back in the days when MTV was still edgy.
Yeah.
Or at least they're trying to be. Like if Jackass wanted to make a film, this would be it.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Well,
Or an animated film. I'm sorry.
an animated film, yeah.
it's like Robot Chicken meets, a slasher flick.
It's like Tom and Jerry on speed.
It's like Tom
Yeah.
and Jerry on
Tom and
fentanyl.
Jerry
Yeah,
on speed with with lethal stuff. Knives, guns, everything.
yeah, it's crazy.
If Buster Keaton had a chainsaw.
It's just
Like if you're a Happy Tree Friends fan or a Dumb Ways to Die fan, this is good news.
and do tell us in the comments below about your sentiments regarding this as I quote some of the comments in this video, the collab of the century. So yeah, it's and another comment said the best crossover idea ever. So yeah, a lot of Dumb Ways to Die fans and Happy Tree Friends fans are gonna meet each other in this kind of collaboration. It's just um, fascinating
Mm.
that um, it would not only show our age, but it would also how do I say this? It would also uh, uh, get another market or target another market. You know, the teenagers who are a bit edgy and all that shit.
Mm.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Dumb Ways to Die was developed as uh, as an advocacy game for road safety or train safety. I think that's it. And then it spilled out to all of the dumb shit. That's why it's called Dumb
Right.
Ways to Die for some reason. But yeah,
I'm even surprised right now that the game actually still exists, considering the era that we're in.
yeah. I mean, this game is underrated. To be honest, it's so
Is it?
underrated.
Is it?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just my opinion. So I mean, it's so underrated, and um, because of the game industry that we have right now, where graphics is king, all of the
Mm.
visual effects and all that shit, and then you have Dumb Ways to Die, who just can't, who just which just doesn't die, ironically,
Well,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, because it's a casual game. Like
Mm,
anything that's built for casual play doesn't actually get picked up by many. Like it's meant to burn time. It's either that or you can go through Ghost of Tsukushima, right? Which would you
yeah.
choose? That's
Mm,
why I figured mobile actually never caught on that much. Because what's on mobile right now that's actually popping? It's
mm,
still something that you can play on PC for a long term, which is Genshin Impact,
mm.
Wuthering Waves. Like these games that can actually are meant to be played long. Dumb Ways to Die is just time burner.
Yeah,
I
I
play.
mean,
Uh, It's a time
yeah.
sink.
I've played Marvel Strike Force every day for 4 years.
Really.
Yeah, I play it every morning. I
So
play it
you're
3 times
fun.
a day.
So you're the only person funding them.
I don't spend them. Now there's some whales on there, bro.
Really?
Yeah, and speaking of games, I burned my time here in my place by playing Command and Conquer Generals and General Zero Hour
Oh,
to be specific. Oh
Mm.
yeah,
I love
cult
some Commander.
classic, cult
God,
classic.
such a good game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I still laugh at some of the voiceovers or the voice lines for
Yeah.
some of the units there, especially in GL, yeah, in the Global Liberation Army or GLA, the bomb truck guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still that's still funny, even though yeah, mm,
Yeah, and the actors that they use there, right? They've
yeah,
used Peter Stormare.
yeah,
Who else? They have good names there.
mm,
Was it on a Command and Conquer Red Alert, right?
yeah. On Red Alert
Peter
2,
Stor-
there's Athena Massey. Athena Massey. She played Lieutenant Eva for the Allies. For Red Alert 2 and Yuri's Revenge.
Mm.
That's another cult classic. I do have a contact from high school who still plays it or still, you know, shares it or has been into Red Alert 2. His screen name is Comrade Oleg
Comrade
Mm.
on
Oleg.
on on Facebook. So huge shout out to Angelo Rebong, aka Comrade Oleg. I'm in a podcast now. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Praise
Hopefully it
the Lord.
does well
Yeah, I do hope it does well.
for
Um,
the Happy Tree Friends fans.
yeah, and yeah, because yeah, it brings a lot of memories of blood and guts.
Mm.
Yeah, quite literally. Yeah, and since it's October, Spooktober, to be honest, to be specific, Uh, we're also going to, you know, embed some. I guess we can try to embed some of the spooky stuff or the horror stuff, and maybe for this episode we can start talking about
Yeah.
analog horror. Are you familiar with analog horror?
Analog car?
Analog horror.
Horror.
Yeah, analog horror.
No, I thought you said
Uh,
verse. I
hmm?
thought I
Yeah,
heard porn.
it's usually the Blair Witch, right?
I was
Yeah,
like, oh,
Usually,
Blair
usually
Witch, but
found footage films.
found the found footage format, and
paranormal
basically,
activity. I go
yeah,
what?
you know, but the big names or the big names in the series that are very big as of this point are the legendary ones like Local 58. Have you heard of that? How about the
No,
Mandela Catalog?
haven't. I
The
haven't. I haven't watched a lot of analog horror
I don't like
mm,
as
horror
of late.
movies in general.
hmm
I'm
But
good with them, with a good one, but there's been so many bad ones that I actually gave
yeah,
up.
yeah, but there are good ones. As I said, Local 58, Analog Horror, The Walton Files, Gemini Home Entertainment. Uh, sorry if I'm
So
Yeah,
listing
what?
down.
I have a
give suggestions regarding the films. Like,
I have a question before we go any further because I don't really like horror movies. Like my daughter loves them. I think her mother loves them. Um, I have cousins that love them. Shout out Sabrina. She loves horror movies, October, all that stuff. I do not. So it seems like you do, Ian.
Not really, but I
Oh.
find it funny. I find it funny.
No,
I mean,
because my question was going to be what constitutes a good horror movie?
that's a very good question, though, Chris.
A good horror film, whether it's analog horror or any kind of horror for that matter, it always depends on the sound.
Okay.
It is always the sound that's gonna be, you know, very much gives you the chills because visuals it's already eerie enough. Every photo of a road that is foggy is already a meme related to Silent Hill.
Mm.
And any dark place or dark corner that is worth abandoning or an abandoned building for that matter, it's
Hospital.
a hospital for
Fucking
yeah,
creepy.
that's creepy enough.
Yeah.
Even abandoned office spaces
Right.
that has yellow walls, moldy carpets, and buzzing fluorescent lights.
The buzzing and
It's the
flickering
basis.
fluorescent lights. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the basis for the back rooms.
are,
Mm.
are we talking about horror movies or the underpass in City Hall, Manila City Hall?
Yeah.
All the money
Well,
Maybe
I can
levels
tell
both.
you right.
high.
I can tell you
Maybe
right now, you
both.
don't want to go there in the middle of the night.
As
Post,
someone who
post
studied there
Isko
for four.
Moreno.
But yeah, prior to that, as someone who studied in Manila for 4 years, yeah, the uh, the underpasses of the city of Manila uh is just a different thing. It's just a different freaking thing.
Yes,
And what
it looks like something that came out of Resident Evil back in the days.
yeah, but what I meant with the yellow walls, moldy carpets, buzzing or flickering lights, uh, that's basically the basis for the back rooms. I think that's a good touch point for all of us. You know the back rooms?
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially especially the series created by Kane Pixels. Yeah. Uh, that that's actually yeah, it's actually analog horror at its best because you know, just imagine no clipping out of reality.
Yeah, that's my gripe with analog horror. It's because of my criteria when it comes to horror films. Like, My criteria basically is the balance between the logical and the illogical when it comes to the plot point, and as well as the
Mhm.
budget. Like sometimes the good ones don't have that high of a budget, so they become creative when it comes to how they do things, when it comes to
Yeah.
direction, when it comes to lighting, when it comes to the sound, when it comes to their choices and whether we show the actual villain in the story or not. Like these are the things that I
Mm,
look at. When it comes to found footage, I find it hard to actually be able to grasp whether I'm actually looking at something good or something that's really been done cheaply.
Mm. Yeah.
mm,
Because the main basis of the genre is you just found this footage that's unprofessionally done. That's
right.
basically the premise of everything. This is supposed to be unprofessionally done. So whatever sin we may have when it comes to filmmaking is easily forgiven. That's what I hate about it.
Mm.
Mm,
Yeah. Understandable. I really
It's not even the audio. It's not gonna be a found footage film if there's an orchestra playing in the background.
right.
yeah.
Well,
So
I think well, as soon as you said audio, the first thing I thought of is the from Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's scary by itself.
Mhm. Yeah.
Or what's the music from is it Halloween with the ding, that shit? What's that movie with the fucking the like
yeah,
the light piano type stuff?
Yeah.
Halloween.
But yeah,
But
yeah, I agree that sound
yeah.
it's a very because I think the reason I don't like horror movies is I don't like the jump scares.
Yeah,
Jump
and
scares. Oh yeah.
it's a hard balance for horror movies. Uh, it's hard to balance out scaring people and making
Mhm.
things look cheesy.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Right.
The cheese factor is going to be dialed up in order for you to ham it up, for the actors to actually ham it up for the camera in terms
Hmm.
of filming horror.
Mhm.
But there are variations when it comes to, you might see a couple of movies where there's true terror in the eyes of the actor
Mhm.
in some scenes. Those hit,
Yeah.
but sometimes if they overdone it for the sake of a jump scare or for the sake of just forcing an emotion in the audience, like that's the bad stuff that's being
Yeah.
Mm.
overplayed.
I
That's
agree.
why I've fallen out of love when it comes to the genre, I guess.
But I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
And it
think
mean,
that's
was
also why
yeah, go
I
ahead,
think that
Chris.
I think that's also why there's so many good or generally considered good um B horror movies. You know what I mean? Because it's not really about the quality or whatever. Like some people like there's cult classic type things, right? Like people love these poorly done horror movies.
Mm.
I guess
yeah,
it adds a little
Mystery?
something to it. Yeah.
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 One of the recent horror films that I actually liked was this was what 10 years ago, like The Babadook.
I don't watch them. I don't know any of these fucking things.
You
I know
haven't
Texas
seen?
Chainsaw Massacre. I know
Yeah, that's gore. Like The Babadook is
Yeah, that's
completely
gore.
psychological.
the psychological ones I can deal with. The ones that fuck with me the most are the ones that's based on a true story, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like The Conjuring,
Yeah.
like those really, because this apparently really happened. So it's
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
watching watching Freddy Krueger. It's like, yeah, whatever. It's not going to probably happen. But watching like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's like there's insane people in the world that will kill you.
Just
I
walking
think
down the street, right, at the flickering light.
we've lost him again.
I thought it was just indifferent.
Yeah, like,
Get out, get out.
yeah, bro. I watched the like this past weekend on Sunday. I watched me and Julie watched the Platform and the Platform 2.
Yeah,
I do not recommend those movies.
The Babadook I would recommend. It's a really good one.
What are you saying? Budaka? What?
Babadook.
Babadook? Is that one word? What is that?
The Babadook, Babadook. It's an Australian psychological horror.
The Babadook, 2014.
Mm-hmm.
The Babadook is a 20. Are you back? Oh, he's back. Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm back.
Are you though?
Must be a ghost.
Something somewhere is not wanting Ian to tell this story.
Yeah,
Come on.
it was
Connection
so
is
good.
unstable. It's already good. Oh man.
The Wi-Fi haunting.
The
Yeah,
Wi-Fi haunting.
yeah.
Maybe we can add that on the we can add that in. Yeah. Well, it's already October, so yeah.
Yeah. The
Wait,
haunting of
where
PLDT.
did we left off?
Babadook or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the gore and all that shit.
Yeah. Well, the fact that the ones that are based on true stories really I enjoy those more.
Because it
Yeah, I
happened.
think part of the enjoyment is actually you can research afterwards.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's the
It's the
reason.
same thing with me with watching several movies where I do something similar after watching the film.
Mhm. Yeah.
You do something similar after watching?
Yeah, after watching Enemy at the Gates, I played Counter Strike and played Sniper. Like,
Oh, okay.
what else? Like you
Yeah.
get to relive the moment by actually just researching the real life events of where the
Yeah.
film was actually adapted from. Like I think that's
Mm.
part
I
of the
thought you meant
fun.
like I thought you meant like after watching Jason, you tormented a bunch of kids at a campground.
You can think out of what's being done after I watch.
Although there's no Mosin Nagant rifle in Counter Strike, but hey, that's
Yeah, we
hey
watched. The funny thing is, a couple of friends of mine actually watched Pearl Harbor, and then we play 1942.
Mm.
42, 43 on the PlayStation. Like those are the
oh
biplanes.
Hmm.
yeah.
So yeah, I figured it
It's
would be the same thing for you when watching adaptations of real life events when it comes to horror.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
you experience the fun of actually learning.
Yeah.
the
In
story
terms of
behind.
these films, I don't even know if some of them are actually real life events. Like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I never actually knew that was adapted.
Yeah,
Or
it's a real story. A
right.
small town of a small town in Texas,
So I never
like
actually knew about
like
that.
the
So I
60s or
might
70s
be
or something.
checking that out after.
Hmm. A a good comparison, I guess, is if someone here in the Philippines would dare talk about uh the story behind the Diplomat Hotel in Baguio.
I want to go there and spend like 2 days.
Where do you check in?
Yeah.
Huh?
Where do you check in and how do you check out?
It's like
Yeah.
Hotel California. You can check in, but
And you
you can
can
check
check
out
out
anytime you
anytime
like.
you live, but you can
Yeah,
never
bring a
leave.
couple of your bandmates that you hate.
Yeah,
But
we should
yeah,
do
this the story behind the Diplomat Hotel is that it was a former convent, or yeah, a former convent of the Order of Preachers, aka the Dominicans. And it was
Wait, the
bombed.
Dominican descent, like from
The Dominican Order,
oh,
uh,
Dominican
like
priests.
Order of Preachers. Yeah, Order
damn it.
Dominican
My
friars.
brain
Yeah.
automatically went to the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, I was like the
Why
It's
do you
Dominicans.
want to
basically
go
ano,
here?
it's basically the religious order where Saint Thomas Aquinas belonged to. If you I meant if you watched the previous episode of Paper Straw podcast, I have mentioned Thomas Aquinas. He is a Dominican, and basically yeah, that's basically what Dominicans are in this context. So the
Okay.
Diplomat Hotel was formerly a Dominican convent, a convent of religious priests and brothers. I'm not sure if it's priests or brothers or nuns. I'm not sure, but it's the same order. As I mentioned in the previous episode, and then during the Second World War, something happened to it. I don't know
Yeah.
if it was bombed by the Japanese or it was bombed by the Americans, or the Japanese used it as a headquarters or a prison or some shit. And
Yeah,
then
Chris, I don't think Chris anything would happen to you if you enter that place. Like you're above 13 years old.
Mm.
Like it would be boring for you.
yeah,
Well, depends on what you're into, I guess.
yeah,
And it's still age.
Yeah.
yeah.
Age like
And
fine milk.
Like, where
it's
are
like fine.
you?
Anyway, before we segue into
Yeah,
real
if anyone was
films.
actually offended by that, the statute of limitations has actually run out, and it's actually being haunted now. So please
Yeah.
go ahead,
Yeah.
What if it's just,
be
what if
offended.
it, what if the
Yeah.
ghosts are just the innocence of children?
Yeah. But anyway, the
It
reason
did it.
why the reason why I wanted to talk about analog horror is because um all of these all of these are fictional, and basically these creators just wanted to, you know, explore
Mm.
what horror really what horror um can do in and basically develop the genre, but for the internet age, because uh you know, the big ones are the more successful ones, like Alex Kister's Mandela Catalog, Chris Straub for Local 58. There's also Gemini Home
Yeah,
Entertainment, Kane Pixels with the back rooms and
but
all that. And it's um it's not just um it's unintentionally funny. It's supposed to be horror, but it's
Mm.
yeah,
unintentionally funny,
That
and
happens sometimes.
but it
it's different, from uh a horror comedy genre where comedy is intentional.
yeah, but
You
I
know what I
Mm.
think the
mean?
difference with this one is, and I think is the main reason why this genre actually is not picking up. Because remember the time when the Blair Witch project actually came out, and the
Mm-hmm.
found footage stuff was all the rage. People
Mm.
back then all actually thought that this was real, because the
Oh.
internet didn't actually exist,
Yeah.
or at least not that this prevalent. Like
Mm-hmm.
just viewing a Wikipedia page, which wasn't actually available back then,
Mm-hmm.
True. So the rumor
will
mill starts like immediately. So all somebody says is like,
yeah.
I heard this shit was real, and then it just
And I don't. I
everybody-
think that was the major part of their campaign. Like that, it was up to the audience who actually knew about the Blair Witch Project to actually judge for themselves whether the film was actually real or not.
Mm-hmm. And
So
another series, I guess, that I'm not sure if this is a contemporary of the Blair Witch Project that um that had some kind of traction over the years, is Marble Hornets. You
mm,
know that, I think that's where the Slender Man lore
ah,
yeah,
I'm
came to
familiar with
be.
Slender Man.
Marble Hornets. Are you familiar with that, Chris?
No, Slender Man, yes.
Slender Man,
yeah.
yes, but you don't know that. You just knew right now that Slender Man came from the Marble Hornet series.
Are you saying Marble Hornets? Ah, web series, Marble Hornets.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, Slender Man, yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I'm not sure. If it's. I'm not sure. Uh, who which is older, the Slender Man lore or Marble Hornets, but
Slender
I
Man
basically,
think
lore.
yeah, Slender
I
Man
think it
lore,
was the
and
lore.
then
Yeah, because
yeah, the lore.
they didn't create it. They heard about it and based this web series on Slender Man.
I see, I see.
They
Because
didn't create him.
yeah, and there's another one that I think is also a good a doozy to be to watch, and it's the Monument Mythos. Basically, every monument, mostly in America, but for some reason it's a living creature. Monument Mythos.
Hmm.
Monument, like national monuments?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Monument
like
mythos.
yeah, like Washington Monument, Mount Rushmore, even Air Force One and James Dean became president of the United States.
Yeah, and MLK was never assassinated.
Hmm.
Yeah, the Washington wormhole.
Hmm.
Oh,
That's also a good so basically I'm basically letting you enter into my world of you know enjoying these kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love this genre before, but the internet actually spoiled me on it.
Oh yeah.
That's a
I've
thing
That
of it.
never,
sucks.
I've never fell down this rabbit hole, so maybe, maybe.
There are two genres of movies that the internet actually destroyed, like comic book movies and horror movies for me.
Yeah. That
Mm,
kind of sucks though.
yeah,
Especially if you are in our world where the internet is basically work for us.
yeah,
Like, it's hard to actually avoid.
yeah.
Mhm.
99% of my life is revolves around the internet.
Like I think it's a major contributing factor why I don't want to watch movies anymore. Like at
Mhm.
Mm,
least make the effort to actually go to the theater.
Yeah, so do I. I mean, I only watch movies in order for me to critique it. So maybe just maybe
Because if
yeah.
imagine
we
right
can.
now you're gonna be watching a film in the movie theaters, you're
Mhm.
gonna want to have to reserve a seat during the first screening for you not to be spoiled. Particularly
Uh-huh.
just in your country, you have to also consider the countries that are screening it much earlier,
Mm.
Yeah.
right?
And in the case of local films, you know, can enjoy it as much as possible. But you know, as I said, or as I wanted to say, I only watch movies in order for me to critique it, especially historical films. And
Mm,
I'm not gonna do some spoilers about that. Let's not go that route. But in a
Spoilers
future
for the
episode,
Titanic.
yeah, in a future we'll have the a future episode of of the Paper Straw podcast that where we deal with that. But let's let's uh set that aside for a while. And you know, uh maybe just maybe if given the chance to critique some of the some films uh for uh for this podcast or for Paper Straw Media, yeah, I can we can tackle that in this podcast. Maybe we can have that aside from from yeah,
Yeah, just a question for
aside.
you guys. I'm sorry to hijack this a bit. If you are gonna be recommending a horror film to a friend for this Halloween, what would it be? Just one. Any a recommendation that you think a
Mm,
friend would actually be. Let's say he's not generally into horror films or horror movies. Something
mm,
that he could actually watch to get into the festive spirit of Halloween.
uh, I like the Pope's Exorcist
mm.
Really?
with Russell Crowe. I like that movie. Russell Crowe was great in that movie.
Oh, oh.
There's a new series apparently, Terrifier or something like that, that's supposed to be like insane.
Yeah,
Like
it
people are
was
like,
supposed to be completely gross,
yeah,
Mm,
people are like leaving the theater.
yeah.
but I think that's more in marketing because I
I
watched it.
think
I never actually experienced any queasiness regarding it.
you know, I think when The Exorcist was released in
Mm,
the 1970s, yeah, that's where a lot of people uh got out of the theater prematurely. That's from what I remember. And perhaps the exorcism of Emily Rose
that's wild.
and the Conjuring series, and especially the first one. But I do recommend uh uh I, I recommend those three films and the Conjuring franchise if you dare. But there's also this film. this 2012 film called The Devil Inside.
I've heard of
Yeah,
this.
And yeah, I highly recommend that because it's found footage done right. Maybe we can go full circle here and maybe redeem myself for introducing analog horror to you guys.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of horror.
Yeah.
My suggestion would be 1976, The Omen.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. The
it's a creepy
Omen.
kid, right? The kids creep me out, man.
My mom actually got mad at me for naming my kid Damien. And it wasn't actually my
I,
intention to name him after that. It was my intention to name him after Batman's son, which is Damian Wayne. And my mom immediately her mind actually went over because it's one of the
yeah.
first movies that I watched as a kid. And I had a nanny back then, and she was
Mm.
so scared of actually going near me after watching that film.
That's funny. His dad's name is Christian, and then his name is Damien.
Damien
Yeah.
And I think
gives him
another
a
shot.
reason if he actually rebels during his teenage years, right?
Yeah. Blame it
Yeah.
on you. It's like yesterday or the
He's
last
gonna be the
episode
anti-Christian.
when you asked about names and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
with the
there's also another film with that kind of creepy kid shit. Rosemary's Baby.
yeah,
I've heard
like
of this
those
too.
are
I've
the
heard of
type of
Netflix.
film that I actually like that don't try that hard to actually be creepy.
Mhm.
It's
Just
just the
creepy on its
vibe of
own.
it. It's just the vibe of the film that actually makes it for me.
Mm. But I do wanted to watch also when it comes to recent films or horror films. I do wanted to. I'm interested to watch Nefarious.
Mm.
Is that a vampire movie?
I think it's also an exorcism movie.
Or maybe I'm thinking Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
That's
That's
Which
vampire.
one?
that's old. That's old,
Yeah.
man.
Which one?
I don't know. I just know. I
Gary
think that's what I
Oldman
was
one?
thinking. When he said nefarious, I thought vampire, but I think I was thinking Nosferatu.
Mhm.
Yeah, and another suggestion would be it's not even a horror movie. If you just want to be uncomfortable watching the screen, just watch A Clockwork Orange.
Creepy. Weird, weird, weird.
Yeah.
Like I think I could basically consider that as a horror as well.
This one's though. This one. Yeah. This one is a Stanley Kubrick film, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah. Everything that is created by Stanley Kubrick, it has some kind of psychological shit in it.
He's got a magic touch for sure.
Magic freaking touch. Yeah. Um the most im- the most famous film that I have watched so far is Apocalypse Now. That's for
Mm.
Stanley Kubrick. For Kubrick. So yeah. Given my given my experience with Apocalypse Now, I definitely think that A Clockwork Orange fits right into the horror
Yeah.
stuff. Um uh and is parallel to Kubrick's other intentional horror film, The Shining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Shining, there's some lore with The Shining where the actress, like Christian mentioned earlier, I thought of this when you said it, like how the actors react and respond, like you can really see fear in their eyes.
Yeah.
But apparently she was exhausted, like malnourished, dehydrated, and he was still continuing to film.
Mhm.
So
Jack Nicholson.
No, it was
Or
Shelley Duvall that actually
yeah,
was.
Shelley Duvall, yeah, the actress.
yeah.
Like a lot of the angst that you see in her is real. It's not acting. She's really exhausted. She's really freaked out.
Yeah. And
And
it
it,
was
it
I think that was Stanley Kubrick's that was Kubrick's
You
arm.
know, the funny thing about
Yeah,
that film, and it's
got it.
nice you actually mentioned The Shining, where we're talking about this in such a reverence. But the thing about that film is it was actually nominated for a Razzie for worst director and worst actress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you know, screw that, because
Yeah.
it's still relevant to this day, because it's that that one scene where
And
Sherry Deval
and
is screaming at the top of her lungs.
Yeah.
It's a meme.
yeah,
Right.
and
It's a
the thing
meme.
regarding people, I guess majority not knowing regarding the Razzies is because that nomination was actually rescinded when it was made public on how Stanley Kubrick actually treated Shelley Duvall during the filming.
Right.
Yeah.
So it gives you a bit of perspective. The bad movies back then are completely revered now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say that's all subjective, right? Like you say it's terrible, other people say it's fantastic. Like who gets the final decision?
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
guess
know what I mean?
Let's
the
but
essence of your genre.
yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, yeah, Kubrick is more of an auteur when it comes to that. But yeah, it's really a good way to end that and maybe redeem myself for the analog horror shit, because here's
Yeah,
Johnny. Anyway, I'm just joking around. I really just wanted to thank
yeah,
both of you for winging this with me, and I
Yeah.
really and I understand that we also have stuff to do as well. So let's end this
yeah. It's
episode of
fun doing this. Like people might have a misconception that we script these things. We don't.
Not
We
at all.
actually go blind
no
in
script,
these podcasts regarding our
no script at
conversation.
all.
We
Yeah.
just want you to be
Mm.
part of a private conversation between friends. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's exactly what this is.
And I really appreciate the banter that these two gentlemen had with me. And I I would also like to thank you all for watching or listening to the Paper Straw podcast. And on behalf of my co-hosts, Christian Tejares and Chris Short, I am Ian Riñon, and I would like to thank you all for you know, uh, staying for the past almost hour. I'm not sure how long would this be, but it's definitely appreciated, and I hope to see you next time on the Paper Straw podcast. Christian, Chris, thank you very much also for this opportunity. And yeah, see you next time here in the Paper Straw podcast. And from all of us here, Paper Straw Media, thank you and see you around.
happy weekend, everyone.
Happy
Yep.
weekend.